Jerry Jeudy has been playing tremendous since he's gotten on the Browns. Even when Deshaun Watson was in, he was one of the more consistent players that the Cleveland Browns have had. So much so that one of his biggest quote-unquote haters, Steve Smith, the guy who famously said he was just a guy, the guy who famously had issues with Jerry Jeudy and their interactions with each other. Well, he said he had no problem being humbled, and let's see how Steve Smith handles Jerry Jeudy humbling him.
You know, a lot of people don't believe I have the ability, the humility, the cojones to really just call stuff how I see it. So, let me call it. Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye.
Ring the bell.
King Jerry Jeudy has arrived. His private plane flew into Denver, where his chariot awaited, led by Sir Jameis Winston. And what happened? Jerry Jeudy had 9 catches, 235 yards, and a whole lot of humble pie for guys like Agent 89, Steve Smith Sr. So I just want to go ahead and clear the air and say, hey, where am I? I'm right here. You see me in my ghost golf hat. I ain't Casper. I'm Jerome. And let me tell you, fantastic performance. Did not get the dub, but fantastic performance. If you get some stops, and it is Christmas time, and you know what Smitty says about Christmas time. And Jamie.
All right. So first off, gotta give credit to Steve Smith for, not hiding, not trying to throw shade on the performance, not trying to make it seem like I always have respect for folk who can admit when they got something wrong, because I think too much we put so much importance sometimes on people who won't move from a position like that clown stuff that you see with Skip Bayless, where Skip Bayless won't move off a take no matter what. And then people celebrate that, right? They call that consistency. That to me is not consistency, because in order to maintain your take that LeBron James isn't good, your bar and your metrics for that have to go all over the place to justify staying there. That's not staying consistent. That's just being an asshole. And Steve Smith, I give him the respect for this. He's consistent. And consistency is when how you measure a take is all consistent and everything that goes into it. He looked into it. He made an evaluation of Jerry Jeudy based on what he was seeing on tape, based on what he was seeing in games, and say, hey, he looks like just a guy to me. Now he takes that same process and it's giving him a different answer, and he's not fighting that answer. He's like, nah, that's the answer. That's the process. That's consistency. Too much online do we think that consistency means that you're going to have the same take over and over and over again. It's if you have a good process, you stick with that process, and then you refine that process, and you know what you're looking for and what makes your takes is what I find to be consistent. And this, to me, is consistent. The things he complained about Jerry Jeudy not doing, Jerry Jeudy started doing them. Steve Smith gave him credit for that. That's good sports talk. So hats off to Steve Smith for doing that, because there's a lot of pressure for you to never change your mind. There's a lot of pressure for him to be like, nah, he's not good. I said he wasn't good last year. Ain't nothing changed. Nah. I respect what he's doing right here. And I respect how he's going about it. Let's see what else he has to say.
Because this is not route of the week. This is route of the week.
Ooh, okay.
Sponsored by Jerry Jeudy. Here's where the track meet begins. You can see the speed what Jerry Jeudy has that we saw him in Alabama, and he was on full display. I mean, the boy was anchoring and listening to all the boos out in Denver. How dare you stone you fans for talking bad about him. He was balling. He lived up to everything that you expected him to do. This wasn't a revenge game. This was look at me game. And Jerry Jeudy was blowing past Levi Wallace. Levi Wallace wasn't just struggling. He had a grand piano. He was going uphill. What are they talking about? You know,
Levi Wallace was fighting for his damn life in that game. Levi Wallace got cooked third. Like, it was one of them cook sessions where I think the wide receivers are on the iPad talking about when I'm going to get some of that, right? Like, everybody get a turn type.
We talk about parents and they say, man, I had to walk 10 miles in 50 feet of snow. Well, that's what Levi Wallace had on his shoe. He didn't have no snow boots. He didn't have no chains. He didn't have anything. All he had was a grand piano on his back and some cement shoes on the football field because he was getting stuck. Everybody was going past him, but you know who decided he couldn't be covered? That's Jerry Jeudy. Congratulations, dog. You did a heck of a job. I know you don't need anything from me, but at the same time, I got to call it how I see it. Fantastic job, bro.
I love it. Steve, I was at this game. I'm not going to lie. I'm sitting in the press box.
See? Right? The same things that made him criticize him that he saw, which I think were fair about Jerry Jeudy. Like, Jerry Jeudy is not simply playing better in Cleveland just because he's in a better fit offensively. It is part of it, right? But the stuff that people were upset about with Jerry Jeudy was actually happening, right? Like the loafing, the low effort, the, kind of like the sluggish attitude about it. Like, something had happened between him, the Denver Broncos, and the city of Denver that made that work situation untenable. He comes to Cleveland where he gets a clean slate, and people aren't looking at him like he has to be better than Justin Jefferson or anybody else that he went earlier in that draft class then, right? Like, I think that was part of the problem in Denver. People looked at him. He's supposed to be the number one wide receiver in that draft class. He was not the number one wide receiver in that draft class. And those expectations, much like the piano to the back of Levi Wallace that Steve Smith is talking about, weighed down Jerry Jeudy and affected his play. He gets to Cleveland. He's in an offense that fits him. He's on a team that wants him so bad they signed him to an extension, got criticized for that extension. By the way, the praise for the extension will not be as loud as the criticism, I'm noticing, because, boy, did everybody have something to say about what was a pretty low-level extension for a guy who's proven he could be a close to 1,000-yard receiver. But the takes were crazy. Everybody was shooting that shit off. But Jerry Jeudy got fifth most receiving yards in the NFL as recording this video. I have not seen a lot of people go, you know what, I was wrong on that, like Steve Smith has. A lot of people hiding from those takes that they shot off about those contracts. Interesting how that works. But when it comes to Jeudy, he's in an offense that fits. He's on a team that wants him, has had a plan for him for a long time. Remember, when he was in Denver, they fired guys and fired guys and fired guys to the point to where the original staff that brought him in, it wasn't there anymore. So now you get brought to Cleveland. Cleveland has a plan for you. They put you in this position. You don't have to deal with the burden of being whatever pick you were in the draft, because to the Browns fans, you're just a guy making $18 million who got traded for a 4th, 5th, 6th round pick. We ain't expecting you to be Justin Jefferson. See what you're going to be. And Jerry Jeudy has come out without those burdens, and he's blossomed, right? The work ethic seems fantastic. There's a play in this game, which I thought was Jerry Jeudy's most impressive one. It wasn't even while he was running a route. He did a great job chip blocking on Nick Bonito. Like, that's what we getting out of Jerry Jeudy now, consistently. It's crazy.
With every answer, wasn't happy that they lost the game. Did say, I'll trade all these yards for a W over my former team. I would honestly do that. I do believe him in that sense. He wanted to win this game.
I do too.
And obviously, the yards were a lot of fun. The best couple of answers he has, Steve, was one go, did you hear the boos? He was like, yeah, I heard the boos. There were a lot of boos, weren't there? You know why there was a lot of boos? Because there were a lot of catches.
Touche.
He was definitely enjoying it. It was. I had a chance to talk to.
You get a touche on some trash talk out of Steve Smith. you didn't drop the good line because that's the king.
Remember, maybe the best corner in all of football, and Pat Surtain plays for the Denver Broncos. And I might eliminate the word maybe. He is the best corner in all of football. Remember, they were teammates at Alabama. They've been going against each other for a long time. And Pat, I talked to him after the game a little bit. He was frustrated because he wanted to line up against Jerry as many times as possible. But they just kept moving Jeudy around. Smart by Cleveland for sure. Putting him inside, putting him in the slot, putting him in motion, putting him in all these different spots, which didn't allow, Pat to line up on him a bunch. You're mentioning Levi Wallace. They went to the rookie as well. They were trying to do anything they could to slow down Jerry Jeudy.
It didn't work.
This is a jumping off point I want to make here because I think that this is proof of something that the Browns are doing positively with wide receivers that I wish they were doing with the run game. It seems like the Browns, when they have a NFL level quarterback or NFL level quarterback play, they seem to be able to manufacture a lot of explosives with their pass game. They seem to have no problem figuring out how we're going to get guys open because it's not the first time we've seen it. Go back 3 years ago, go back 2 years ago, go back last year. The Browns have not had one of those top 5 wide receivers like a Jamar Chase, right? Like Amari Cooper's really good, but he's not a number 1. This year more so than ever. But what they're able to do is put these guys in the best position possible to get the most out of them. Now let's switch on to the run game. And this is where I go to a criticism of the Browns. I love that we're able to do that with the passing game. But this is why I think a lot of people are very concerned about the run game. Because if you look at the run game, we don't seem to have that ability to move things around and get the most out of whatever we got. Like, yes, the Browns have been dealing with injuries with the run game. Nick Chubb's coming back from injury. But right now, the Browns are the dead last run game in the NFL. You would hope that you could create a floor with your run game that can be more than just the worst team in the NFL running the ball. That's why in my video earlier this week, I talked about, I think Deuce Staley's probably going to get the boot. And part of that is he was kind of brought in to help develop some of that, and it's gotten worse, right, with the Cleveland Browns this year. So I just see them going in a completely different direction, right? They weren't happy with what Stump Mitchell was doing, and I think for good reason, right? The Browns dipped from like 12th to 29th last year when it comes to run game efficiency. And then you look at this year, it got even worse with Deuce. So I think they're going to make a move off of Deuce. Be interested to see who they bring in to do that. But yeah, like you see how the Browns can get those tricks and moves for the wide receivers to get them open. It's not related to Jerry Jeudy. I know this video is mainly about praising Jerry Jeudy, but that just made me think about how the Browns need to be able to do that with the run game. And that's something that you want to see them be able to develop next year, right? You want to get the talent in the interior of the offensive line better, obviously. You want to get the run game going. Maybe you want to upgrade a tackle or two. Like, I'm not opposed to it. But you got to raise the floor the same way that you've raised the floor with the wide receivers. We had Mike Woods in here cooking against a really good secondary outside of Levi Wallace. That's what you want to see with everything in this offense, right? That's what Kevin's supposed to be bringing. And, I think the run game is the only area where I look at him like, I don't know, man. Like, it feels like we don't know how to get the most out of these guys. But with the pass game, they figured something out between this year and last year.
Did nothing work because on his routes, he had 34 routes against Patrick Surtain, 59% of them. He had 2 catches for 20 yards, 23 routes on everybody else, and he goes for 215. 7 catches for 215 everybody else.
That's
and
pretty
Pat
dope.
said, man, I wanted to be on him as much as possible. I just couldn't because that's the way the game is, Steve. So I kind of do want to ask you, when a guy's going off like that and you have somebody as talented as the Broncos have on the other side, what Cleveland did was exactly right? You just find ways to get him these different matchups. Jerry told us the 70-yard touchdown he had, they essentially almost drew that up on the sideline. Like that, he said that was a play that they kind of came up with. And I'm curious if that's some of the things you do to try to avoid.
You know why they drew that up on the sideline? Because it hit earlier, right? They had noticed how the Broncos were playing like their quarter shell. They were just sitting in the middle. They weren't carrying anybody out because I guess they were sleeping on Jerry Jeudy's speed. Like that is shocking that the Broncos continued to sit in that shell like that, despite it being cracked multiple times before they got hit with the big one. Like that's shocking. Like I don't know how PJ Locke let that one happen.
Avoid a player like Pat when you see you can eat the way Jerry's doing, as long as he's not lined up against him.
All right, but that was Steve Smith giving respect to Jerry Jeudy. Always love to see when people can be consistent on the principles of evaluation of a player. You know, some years that player is going to fit your principles of evaluation, and you're going to say that player's good. Some years they're not, and you're going to say that player's bad. A lot of people think that's flip-flopping. No, Steve Smith didn't flip-flop here. What happens is that Jerry Jeudy played better. And you know what? Steve Smith is a fair enough man to give him credit when he's playing good and to let him know when he ain't playing good. And when he called out Jerry Jeudy last year, he wasn't playing good, right? So that's all good to see. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section. Everybody have a great day. Have an even better night. Peace.